Okay, so we are coming up to our first sign. We are doing the Hancock Loop Trail, and I'm pretty sure that's what we want. Doesn't give us mileage, does it? But it's definitely doable. I want to say that took us a good half an hour, 40 minutes to get through that first stretch. So I'm assuming that's where we're going to come back, and this is where we're going to go. So this is the Cedar Brook Trail, and one thing I don't like about this DJI app is I can't zoom like the regular camera app. I'm not using the gimbal right now, so something interesting to think about. They all have their pros and cons. One of the big challenges is getting down the snowy banks without slipping. These shoes have a lot of traction, but they don't have the traction you need for snow. What you really need is micro spikes or crampons, they're called, right? And so these shoes are not meant for that. They're just meant for hiking on regular dirt and wet rock, and they slip a lot, so you gotta be very careful using them. So just wanted to share the direction. I'm gonna stop up here a little bit, see where we are in terms of mileage, and I'll share that with everybody as we go. So I've been walking, and so far it's been mostly in the trees. So it's not too much I can show everybody besides what you were seeing before. It has opened up a little bit. If I just turn this around, you can see what I'm looking at. But slipping a lot of the snow makes it a lot harder. It reminds me kind of when I was in Iceland walking on those glaciers, and there the paths are so skinny. It's like people walk in line, one foot in front of the other, and it's very uncomfortable. And I actually like, I don't know why that is, why people walk in line like that versus more of a solid stance or base. But I hurt my knee doing that because I wasn't used to walking that way. I twisted or something, and I almost sprained it for the trip. And there's a common theme here: Nate having some kind of appendage sore or hurt when he's hiking, and he does it anyway. So I guess we can all plan on me hurting myself some more, inadvertently trying to have a good time. So I am thinking I should stop for a second, take a look at the map, and I'm just trying to find a place where I can sit down. It's mostly this path here. There's some water to the left. I also didn't expect there to be this much snow today, but I don't know why I was kidding myself. I saw the forecast the other day, and it was snowing up here in Lincoln, specifically mostly in Mount Washington. It snows pretty much most of here, but I was thinking down lower it wouldn't be as bad, but it's a lot of snow, a lot of puddles. So you definitely have to take it slow because you don't want to get your feet wet in the puddles, and you also need to make sure you don't sink in the snow and twist your ankle. So just a little bit more caution is needed in order to succeed in terrain like this. But to be honest, compared to falling off my boosted board the other day, this isn't that bad. This terrain is manageable. I'm only going a mile an hour, and if I fall, I can usually catch my balance here. But let me film a little bit of the trail, give you guys a break of me talking, and I promise I'll be quiet and so you enjoy the scenery and you get a feel for what I'm working with here. Can't see the gimbal gets in the shot. I zoom out too much, so it seems to be a limitation with the gimbal, not the phone. I will say, if you are planning on getting into action photography or stuff like this, it's a must to have one of these stabilizers. I realize now how beneficial it is. All right, so now the fun part. Trying not to get my feet wet. And actually, I kind of want to take a second to figure out where I am in terms of the trail here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just set my backpack down over here. Okay, so we took, so it is. All right, so we took, again, this trailer here, and we came up here, and we're somewhere right here. I don't know if you can see that, but we took that left, and then we're somewhere up in here, and we're gonna go up to this loop up here. So, not too far of a journey here. And it does look like this will loop back around, and I will probably see people coming down if they came up here today. So it'll be interesting if I run into people and how they handle the corona deal in the wild. They put their face masks on. I have this in case I do see people I can cover up, but we'll see how they react. I'll also just fold this up and put it in my pocket so I don't have to dig into my backpack anymore, and I can reference it. Even though this is a very simple trail to follow. It's not that hard. There's not a lot of things. You just kind of go one way, loop, and come back. And I did that because I didn't know how much time it would take. I didn't know the conditions. And tomorrow's supposed to be a nicer day, so I think tomorrow I'm going to try some rock climbing, which I'll make another video, which would be really cool. I have a lot of rappelling and rescue gear that I'm going to share with everybody, along with a couple of different ropes that I need to break in. So it should be fun. Unfortunately, Rumney, which is like one of the biggest rock climbing places in New Hampshire, is not open right now. And that's obviously because they don't want people, everybody's climbing on the same rocks, and I can see how that wouldn't be open. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to find somewhere else to rock climb. I may still go try to check it out tomorrow. It's about an hour and a half drive for me. So if I wake up early enough and I get up there and it's closed, I can at least find something around and play with the gear. Maybe a lower level elevation, so it's not that much snow. Although I will say the snow's probably better to fall on if you're gonna fall out of a tree or something than some rocks. Although I don't plan on falling. And I have spent a lot of time and energy and effort making sure I learn about climbing and I practice my climbing to where I go do stuff safely and credibly with the gear I have by best practices. So I will share that stuff with you, the gear I have, and what I use it for, and the type of gear I have, because traditionally there's a lot of different kinds. And my gear is really exploration, expedition, adventure stuff, like rappelling, crevasse rescue, and really just not really doing it as a sport, more just as a gear, as a necessity if you need it. So it's a little bit different setup than most people, but I think some people will find it interesting. So let's get going. Okay, we're off. So what's interesting is that the trail that was right there with snow is now turned into this rocky creek bed. And this creek right here with no snow. But I think that's just temporarily. But I would actually prefer It's also that the sun's shining right here, which is probably another thing that is why there's no snow. But this is the better weather I want to be in. It's warmer. It's about 50 degrees out with the sun. It feels really good when you sweat. The challenge when you sweat on a day like today and it's cold, you get up top, you get really, really cold from the wind chill. And if you don't have extra layers to put on, then you just sweat and freeze in the layers you're wearing when the trip becomes very miserable and you're kind of stuck in a cold place. And so you got to keep on moving and find ways to keep warm. And you know what some people do is they'll jump in their sleeping bags, they'll wrap themselves up and other things. And if you don't have that, you're in trouble. But I do have my Micro Down, my Ghost Whisperer Mountain Hardwear jacket, which I've worn many times all winter. It's kind of like my, I bring it everywhere. Pretty much it's always in my bag whenever I go outdoors. It's one of those layers where it's a lifesaver. It packs down well. 850 down rating. It's a pretty high quality down. And I paid a pretty penny for it. I think it was like $250-300. So definitely a good layer piece to have if you need it. But you know, as I'm moving, I'm wearing 2 layers right now. I'm wearing a base Patagonia layer, very thin, breathable long sleeve, and then I'm wearing a thermal North Face, which I always wear pretty much every day. It's like my everyday hoodie. I like it a lot. It's breathable, but it does keep some warmth in. The problem with me is I sweat a lot, so if I wear too many layers, I'll sweat. I just freeze my ass off. Okay, so I'm guessing, I don't know why there's a sign here if it's only one way, but I guess that's because we were in a protected area and now we're not. But oh wait, no, we do have another sign here. Okay, that's just because apparently it changes the trail type, or the actual trail. So, and also I think we're actually in the national forest now, and before we weren't. So we have 1.8 miles, or whatever peak we choose to go to, I guess. So let's get going. Now, usually I think people can hike a mile every half an hour. I guess like which is standard. So that being said, it should only take us 45 minutes, an hour tops to get up. So plenty of time to get up there, enjoy the scenery. I did bring my stove along with some freeze-dried food I may cook, along with just some tuna fish lunch pack, which may be easier. One's a cold, easy meal, one's like a hot meal. Word of advice for people getting into this stuff for day trips. Pack whatever you'd pack on an everyday lunch, like a peanut butter sandwich, bananas, gummies, fruit, whatever you would. And then bring something that you can have as a hot meal in case you have to, like, if you're really cold and you want to warm up, like a soup or a stew or like one of these freeze-dried packs. And then also bring like a nice protein meal, like for instance a tuna fish or like salami. And that just gives you plenty of options in case, worst case scenario, you get stuck out here or lost and you have to survive. I did forget a few things today that I would have brought. I didn't bring a tarp because I have an emergency blanket. One of the space blankets that's in my emergency kit, which I'll show you guys, but I don't plan on sleeping out here, so I don't necessarily need anything to sleep with. Also, I don't plan on getting lost out here because it's a very easy trail. The only thing that could potentially happen is me falling, like balancing on these rocks, crossing right now. Me falling, twisting my ankle, hitting my head, becoming unconscious. And at that point, death is imminent, or my concussion is going to happen regardless. I'm not going to wear a helmet. So you just got to be prepared for worst case scenario stuff. When I was hiking with Sam, my buddy Sam, we did the presidential traverse kind of like a weird way. We took a cut. We got stuck on Mount Washington in the dark, and we only had one headlamp. Sam didn't really have any gear. He borrowed a bunch of gear. Didn't know to bring anything. So it was pretty miserable for him to not have light climbing down Mount Washington to the Lake of the Clouds hut where we ended up staying. And luckily I had my headlamp because I know that's like one of the essentials. You always have to have a little lighting when you go out, even if you don't plan on being out in the dark. So that got us down. But this time, or from now on, I have probably three options of lighting, not including like my phone as a light if I needed to use that. I have a tube light, power pack light, which is a bunch of stuff, which is like camp light, it's ambiance light. I have my headlamp, which I'll use for hiking if I need to. And then I have a backup mini LED Cree light, which is super small and very bright, stored with a bunch of extra AA's that I only really use if I have to, and everything else is gone. And again, I'll show you that. I keep that in a small plastic case with my some fire steel, some water treatment stuff, and a few other things. So I did forget that this is going to start going uphill, so it may take a little longer than I thought. But if it's only this steep, then it shouldn't be too challenging. We're now getting to the part of the trail which probably a little bit more dangerous because you're higher up, it's steeper, you have rocks, and one thing I'll note is that this kind of stuff is that you gotta be very careful when you step on it. This is flat, so it's okay, but if you were stepping on a rock that isn't flat, you may have some slippage issues if you're not wearing the right footwear, and you may hurt yourself. Another thing to note is, see this piece of snow walkway? It probably is pretty strong, but you'll notice how underneath it there's a creek running, so there's a chance if you stepped on that you could fall through. So you gotta be careful that wherever you're stepping it's solid ground and not something that, like a piece of snow that's melting, is gonna fall and then you're gonna hurt yourself. So it's definitely a challenge not slipping all over the place on this, and definitely makes the hike harder. But what the snow does do is it makes less of an incline or stair stepper feeling that you get with the Appalachian Mountains. Specifically these trails, they have a lot of up and down. They're paved by humans, not donkeys or mules, so usually you're climbing over rocks. So what's nice about the snow that makes up for the lack of traction is that it's more of a smoother incline, and you don't have to, go up and down as much with your legs, which probably not getting as good of a workout, but probably making up for it and holding for your grip. So when I kick up this snow so I don't slip, I kind of like kick my shoes in like I would if I was walking up in snow boots or ski boots. I just try to make a ledge for myself. What's going on, guys? Just checking in here. I need to take a break. I don't know if you can really tell, but I'm on a really steep, icy incline to the top of this ridge. I slid a little bit, and don't think you can tell, but it's pretty steep right there, and it's pretty steep going up. And I dug my backpack in snow a little bit so it doesn't slide, and I'm holding my feet in the ground so I don't slide. I made the mistake of not bringing traction for my shoes, like micro spikes, my trekking poles. I just didn't think there'd be snow this high this time of year, but I forget how much cooler and higher in elevation it is up here, and how much longer the snow sticks around. So, whew, it's a lot of work. I'm gonna do like a zigzag back and forth up this trail so I don't slip in my shoes. My shoes aren't meant for this. They're meant for wet rock and sand and dirt. They're not snowshoes by any means, but they are keeping my feet warm, which is the important part. And the only thing that's really cold is I'm sweating a little bit, and when it blows on me, I'm getting chilly. But just sitting here, my layers are pretty thin and they dry pretty quick, so it shouldn't be an issue. Another thing, maybe having gloves. It's definitely cold up here. The wind chill makes it close to like 30 something. So just enjoying a nice rest. We're almost to the top. I'll check when you guys get up there. I'm gonna eat some food, relax, put on another layer, warm up. Maybe try to find my Mavic if I have the airspace privilege. And just show you the views that we get, if any. So thanks for sticking with me this long, and I'll see you at the top. Well, as you can see, I have successfully made it to the station. It's not the clearest. There's a lot more trees than there usually is when you get to the top of a mountain. And I guess it's just an average size. Where we are on the map is, let me show you. So if you look, it's kind of hard to show you, but I'm trying to position my hand in the right place. So if you see where my finger is pointing, that little red dot, that is the South Hancock. So essentially, we went about, do the math, 1.8 plus 1.8, so that's 3.6. We went about 4 miles one way, so it's about an 8-mile hike, believe it or not. I didn't feel that long, but that last bit was hard. I learned a lot. I'm definitely not flying around. It's way too windy. I would lose it for sure. And so I'm just not going to do that. But what I can do is I can show you kind of what I see. I'm going to try to chill for a little bit, let my stove hang out, eat some food, recuperate. Over there is I'm not sure where Washington is, but I think Washington's actually that way. Can't really see it. We'll walk over there for a second. I'll show you the sign. But all in all, it was a great journey. The Kestrel 48 pack is awesome. It's magnificent. It's the right size. It's snug. You know, it's probably not the most comfortable pack compared to some of their other ones. They're anti-gravities, but it's a very firm pack. You know, it's very trusted. A little snug. I like it a lot. It's I own 4 Osprey packs, and it's definitely my favorite pack out of all my Ospreys, if not all of them. So what I'm going to show you is, so this is the actual where we came up. We came from the left that way, down this way. And I'm going to go back down that way. I'm actually going to go the same way because I was told the north one's even steeper. So I'll probably have to create some walking shoes. But yeah, this is how you would get down there. And unfortunately, let's see if I can show you some views if we go this way. Alright, so if I get through this tree here without hurting and scratching myself too much, falling down this cliff, which looks dangerous. You can see, I can't even see what you see, but that's what we're looking at. So I'll have to check out that footage later and see what I can see. But you can see we're right in the trees, and trees are actually a good thing on a rainy day, or windy day. Oh, these things are sharp and prickly, and they just want to snag you, so you got to be careful. You're gonna sneak around, you get caught and rip your stuff. It's windy, so I want to find somewhere where I can get some shelter. is cold. So I'll probably put on at least my rain jacket for some wind protection just in case stay warm. I'll try to fire up my stove. You know, it's interesting when the conditions aren't what you expect. The way you pack really depends on what you can do. And I didn't bring. I thought there'd be running water, and there was, but I only have one thing of water, so good thing I didn't drink any. But if I didn't, I'd have to melt snow, and it's get a bunch of shit in it. So what I'm thinking is, I'm just hanging out here for a bit. To be honest, this is probably this right here. Let's see if I can. This area right here is probably the best. I have a little bit of blockage from this tree here that's down. Not much, but it acts like a wind block, and I can hide behind it because the wind, as you can't see it, but you can tell by the branches that the wind is coming this way, the way they're all bent and the way they're forming. So you can tell, and plus you can feel it. But if you weren't feeling wind, the way the wind flow is, you want to obviously hide behind something. Oh, and I just sunk down in snow a couple feet. So another thing that's a challenge is the snow's melting. So let's do this. Fortunately, it's not as comfortable up here as I thought it would be. I thought we'd have a little bit more room to hang out. Usually in a lot of summits, you have rocks and you have sunshine. But if I just, let me go ahead and change this. So what I was saying is I think what I can do is I can just lean against this tree right here and just hang out for a bit. The cool thing about having a tripod is I can use the snow and stab the tripod that's on the gimbal or the stabilizer into the snow. So you can see on this the sun feels good. When the wind dies down, it's nice up here. It's just that damn wind that sucks. It makes it pretty bad. Obviously, this is a better angle. I'm gonna stab this in the snow, and if not, I could use my tripod like that. Very nice, versatile system. I keep on talking about it, but as you can see, I can kind of just, now I can just freely do my thing, and it'll act like a cameraman and keep me in centered, which is super cool. So I have a little mini gas stove with some gas in it. Oh, now it's tracking that. So that happens sometimes. It looks for patterns. I have some fuel here. I think I have my pocket rocket stove. At least I hope I packed it. If not, we're not eating something warm. And I have some candy and stuff. Oh, I'll tell you, that walk up here took more out of me than I thought it would. It never seems, when you look at a map, it never seems like a long way, but it always feels longer when you're lugging up and falling and hurting yourself. But no pain, no gain. And there's two mottos that are cheesy, I'm going to say. The first one is no pain, no gain. And the other one is you can either get busy living or get busy dying right now. And I'm choosing to live. So this is just a cheap little pack I bought that was charging my phone. Charged pretty quick, which which was good. And just hiking up here, charged it back up. Took a fall on my shoulder, which was definitely not what I was hoping for. I was hoping to not put a lot of weight on it, but then again, I didn't realize that there was going to be so much snow, and that's the ignorance of not living in New Hampshire. So it's windy, but I feel good. I don't feel cold. And I think what I'll do is look at how loud that wind is. Let me actually, I have a ham radio I use for weather and emergency stuff. It's just a little Bofang. It's got a tiny little antenna, but up here it still has a pretty good range. So what I can do is I can go to the weather channels and listen to the weather and the wind. So let's just hear what the weather is here. So I've got a bunch of channels. I'm just scanning for a weather channel. I'm picking up somebody's MERS channel right here, which is a so was interesting. So the wind gusts 22 miles an hour, I heard. I don't know if that's here, but that could be lower, but it definitely seems pretty loud. But what I was saying is, usually you can only pick up one weather channel. When you're up this high, you can get radio signals from all different directions. You can pick up pretty much a lot of channels. I picked up somebody on a MERS channel, which is it's a free band, free frequency you can use. Usually nobody's on that, which is interesting. Actually, here from the beginning. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 0. So if I had a better antenna on here, I have really long ones. I have another one which I could definitely pick up more stuff. This is more for a close range. I don't really use it. It's actually illegal to use. So I lock out a lot of the frequencies, like the weather channel, so you can only listen to them. But I'm getting a little chilly up here, so I'll put on my jacket real quick, and then I'm going to try to cook up something to heat up, make myself feel better. So I'll be right back.